slow, live it up, watching time go. Planning moves, things solid to this cheat code. Get your money, make it big, fuck being broke. Get your money, make it big, fuck being broke. Live slow, live it up, watching time go. Making moves, things solid to this cheat code. Get your money, make it big, fuck being broke. Get your money, make it big, fuck being broke. This how it is, the mission's Benjamins. And fuck the drama and the bullshit, we ain't little kids. My circle small, but my riders heart, they never quit. Get your money, keep it gangsta, solid, straight legit. Never switch like the real ones that die for this. It's fucked up, but this is truly how it is. I hope you're ready if you're picking this like full of sin. No turning back, I represent my vital to the end. Fuck the fakes and the snakes and everyone that hates. I'm not phased, I won't break, bitch, I'll never.
You are now watching M.O.D Entertainment.
Now, the next barrio that's on the list is right here, located still in the San Fernando Valley, but this one's located in the area of Mission Hills, which is the barrio VK. VK translating into Barrio Valley Kings. Valley Kings is a new neighborhood right here in the San Fernando Valley. It was a tagging crew that had been around in the 90s, mid to late 90s. Didn't become a neighborhood until roughly the mid to later on in the 2000s. So they don't really have that long that they've been a neighborhood, but they do have real members that hold it down. This is a real gang that does real things, you know what I mean? Despite that they used to be taggers, and I was told that they're roughly 50 to 60 members, so not that large, because obviously other gangs have been around already for generations. So within that time frame, you're able to just get in more members compared to when you're a crew and barely starting off. It's they're barely starting off their process, so obviously they're not as large as other neighborhoods, but they're a real neighborhood that have real riders that hold it down. They have homies busted. They've been doing things. You know what I mean? These guys ain't no suckers. Like I've said, just because somebody used to be a tagger don't mean shit. Majority of homies used to be taggers. Most neighborhoods, used to be tagging crews. Like, all of that shit is retarded when people say that taggers ain't with it, or just, stuff like that. It makes no sense to me. There's people that just like talking just to talk. But the Valley Kings is a real neighborhood that have real homies that hold it down for theirs in the Mission Hills areas where you're able to find this barrio. So throughout all of Mission Hills, and by Granada Hills. So, they be doing things right there, holding it down for theirs and putting their neighborhood and their set on the map, for the barrio, Valley Kings, and, repping it for theirs. Another barrio that you have, now this one's located in the 805 area. The 805 area right here in the area that is known as Simi Valley. Yes, Simi Valley does have neighborhoods. I do often hear people say that, Simi Valley got no gangs and woo woo. Bro, y'all don't know nothing. Simi Valley's got neighborhoods. In this barrio, not to be confused for the Sun Valley neighborhood, Simi Valley is written VSV, or sometimes just SV13. But, often get confused with Sun Valley, but it's two different hoods. Simi Valley is a neighborhood that has already been right here since the 80s, that they were established within the Simi Valley area. Like I said, people, just judge and like to talk without knowing. These areas do get treacherous. Don't ever judge a book by its cover, because the barrio Simi Valley is a real neighborhood that does real things. And there's several barrios within this area, you know what I mean? Because I know that they go at it heavily with the West Side Locals neighborhood, who also has a strong presence within that area. Like I said, homie, it definitely be cracking, you know what I mean? It's an OG barrio that's been holding it down and has its members, and these guys ain't no suckers, homie. You come over here thinking that it's all lovely in Simi Valley. You're going to end up with holes in you. Because these individuals are not playing over here in Simi Valley. You know what I mean? Shout out to the homie Downer from Simi Valley. Down homie right there, that's for sure. And shout out to all the homies from Simi Valley that hold it down for that VSV and still ripping it for theirs, you know what I mean, in that 805. Another barrio that you could find with a Valley title on it is still right here located within the 805 area in the new Berry Park area, which is the barrio Conejo Valley Locos. Conejo Valley Locos is a real barrio. Yes, right here in Conejo Valley, neighborhoods do exist. It's one of the CVLS neighborhoods. That I was talking about, that there's just a lot of these sets, you know what I mean? Not to be confused with Carmelita Barrio Locos or Corona Barrio Locos. There's Conejo Valley Locos. So that's not Conejo Barrio Locos. No, it's Conejo Valley Locos. And it's a neighborhood that has already been right here since the 80s that this neighborhood was established. Roughly, there were only about 50 to 60 members too. So a lot more smaller neighborhood. And due to gentrification and all that, you don't see them up as much as some of these other neighborhoods. But nonetheless, don't ever get it twisted. It's a real gang that holds it down for the 805. They have homies, you know what I mean? Yeah, I know a lot of people like talking without knowing, but hey, these guys don't play around. They're located right there in that area, throughout that whole entire area, you know, scattered. Like I said, just because it looks lovely don't mean shit, you know. This rabbit gang definitely gets it on and cracking, and still representing for that Conejo Valley Locals gang in the 805. Now, to cover the next neighborhood that's on the list, we'll have to make our way to the area of San Diego. SD, you already know, SD also home to a lot of neighborhoods, and one of them being Valley neighborhood. And for that, we have to actually go to the area that is known as Spring Valley. Spring Valley is an area where we're able to find the SVLS. SVLS translating to Spring Valley Locals. Another SV, I know Simi Valley, Sun Valley. There's a lot of SVs on here. But this one is the Spring Valley Locals. SVLS. And the Spring Valley Locals is already a pretty old school barrio right here in SD. I was told that was established around the 70s when this neighborhood was established. This neighborhood, you know, pretty large, you know what I mean? I was at least told that there are more than 120 members of the Spring Valley Locals gang. Still an active neighborhood, you know what I mean? They still get it on the cracking. Don't ever get it twisted. You know, I know that there is going to be people talking in the comments like I always, you know what I mean? But never come to wolf it, just come to spit the facts. This barrio's still active. They still have their homies that represent and put it down. And I'm telling you, man, it cracks in a lot of places, you know what I mean? Even though Spring Valley, you know, does have its area, it looks nice, you know what I mean? It does look nice, but like I said, it looks good to see. Because the Spring Valley Locals is definitely right here handling their business, you know, on Grand Avenue, throughout all of this area. We're able to find the Spring Valley Locals, you know, maintaining and still representing for theirs, and the SVLS holding it down.
Thank you for watching M.O.D Entertainment. Make sure you like and subscribe.